Hello, it's nice of you to stay with us, and of course you're still on Channels Television as we broadcast in from our Lagos headquarters. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Welcome to the news at 5. Former Governor of Kaduna State Nasir El-Rufai has filed a ₦1 billion fundamental rights enforcement suit against the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Enforcement Forces Commission, ICPC, over alleged unlawful invasion of his Abuja residence. Now, Mr. El-Rufai, through his team of lawyers led by Oluwale Iyamu, prayed the court to declare that the search warrant issued on February the 4th by the Chief Magistrate of the Magistrates Court of the FCT authorizing the search and seizure at his residence was invalid, null and void. He urged the court to declare that the search warrant was null and void for lack of particularity, material drafting errors, ambiguity in execution parameters, overbreadth and absence of probable cause, thereby constituting an unlawful and unreasonable search in violation of Section 37 of the Constitution. In the suit, the detained ex-governor sought 7 reliefs. He prayed the court to declare that the invasion and search of his residence at House 12 Mambila Street in Aso Drive, Abuja, on February the 19th at about 2 p.m. and executed by agents of the ICPC and the IG amounts to a gross violation of his fundamental rights to dignity, personal liberty, fair hearing, and privacy under Sections 34, 35, 36, and 37 of the Constitution. He then urged the court to declare that any evidence obtained pursuant to the aforesaid invalid warrant and unlawful search is inadmissible in any proceedings against the applicant as it was procured in breach of constitutional safeguards. Mr. El-Rufai therefore sought an order of injunction restraining the respondents from further relying on, using, or tendering any evidence or items seized during the unlawful search in any investigation, prosecution, or proceedings involving him. The Plateau State Police Command has provided an update on the recent night attacks on Joel community and Durwa Babuje of Rop district in Barkin Ladi and Riam local government areas as affected communities begin preparations to bury victims of the violence. The Commissioner of Police in Plateau State, Basi Ete, confirmed that security operatives moved into the areas after distress calls were received and worked in collaboration with other security agencies to repel the attackers and restore calm. He says the reports from his divisional police officer indicated that 4 persons were killed while several others sustained injuries during the attacks. Earlier accounts by community leaders had put the casualty figure at 10. The national president of the Biram Youth Molders Association, Mr. Solomon Dalyop, said the attackers struck Joel and Durwa Babuje from different routes, alleging that armed men rode into Joel on motorcycles from the Manga axis, while those who attacked Durwa Babuje emerged from the Jungwere area where they were believed to have been camping. Mr. Dalyop commended the military for what he described as a swift response in Durwa Babuje, which prevented further loss of lives. He also acknowledged the role of Operation Rainbow in repelling the attack on Joel community. Meanwhile, residents of the affected communities have evacuated the corpses of those killed in the attacks and are currently making arrangements for their burial amid grief and heightened fear. Governor Usman Ododo has commended the Nigerian Army for the swift and professional response to the recent security challenges in Kogi State, praising troops for their decisive actions and discipline. The governor made the remarks during a visit to troops of 12 Brigade Charime Gumari Barracks in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, following the rescue of some travelers who were abducted in the state.
Governor Usman Ododo of Kogi State arrived the 12th Brigade of the Nigerian Army, Chari Umeri Barracks in Lokoja, the state capital, to meet troops and rescued victims. A combined operation led by the military around Oshokoshoko community in Lokoja local government area of the state led to the dismantling of bandit camps and the rescued 16 kidnapped victims. The operation, codenamed India, involved air and ground missions, and according to military authorities, the operation led to the death of several bandits and recovery of arms and ammunition, including mobile phones. After a closed-door meeting with the commander of the brigade, the governor reaffirmed his administration's commitment to strengthen collaboration with security agencies to protect lives and properties.
We work in unity. We work as a team. We have one goal. The objective is to defeat these criminals so that the country can have its needed peace.
The governor reiterates his earlier stance not to negotiate with bandits, vowing to take the fight to their camps.
I want to stress again that here in Kogi State, we are not going to negotiate with any criminals. We are not going to negotiate with any criminals. We will continue to fight them.
Some of the rescued victims narrate their ordeal in the hands of their abductors.
We were coming from with our market as we reached there. I'm sleeping. Only here
Governor Ododo also visited the IDP camp, where people recently relocated from the forest are temporarily receiving support. They are being profiled to determine their identities.
As you can see, we discover that most of our children, our brothers, are now into it by giving them logistics, by giving them information, thereby not allowing the security agencies to confront them head-on.
The state government insists that it will no longer tolerate anyone living within its forests, warning that anyone caught will face the wrath of the law.
In politics, the APC in Benue State has held 2 parallel local government congresses, with the chairman of the caretaker committee, Mr. Benjamin Amale, saying it has not received any petition, while the group loyal to the Mr. Austin Agada-led executive say the ongoing elective congresses by the caretaker committee is an anti-party activity. Chairman of the APC committee to Benue State, Mr. Awal Share, after monitoring the congresses in Makodi, Tarka and Boko local government areas, applaud the peaceful conduct of the congresses.
Distribution of Congress materials by the Local Government Congress Committee, set up by the National Secretariat of the All Progressives Congress, began on Friday, the 20th of February.
Come closer and support the chairman.
One after the other, the returning officers for the 23 local government areas take delivery of the materials as they set out.
The chairman. The Honorable Councillor represents
The Secretary of the Committee and the Chairman of the Caretaker Committee of APC in Benue State addresses issues around the World Congresses as they disclosed that no petition was received against the process.
Nothing to add, the election has been free and fair since. The World Congresses was fair, freely contested, no any issue, no petition, and we expect the tomorrow election also to be free and fair.
This is a very free and fair elections, and we have experienced a very well-democratic elections. And so for this, I think we are good to go.
On Saturday, the team hit the road to monitor the local government congresses, beginning from Makodi to Taka, with a final stopover in Boko local government area. Addressing journalists, the Congress Committee chairman says the elective congresses have been peaceful.
I think in all Nigeria, there is no any state that conduct free and fair and credible election like Benue. People, they come and they cooperate, they are happy, they are allowed to choose whoever they want to choose.
However, a parallel local government congress was held in Madipo, a popular Wadata area, as the executive elected in 2022 were returned unopposed after a voice affirmation.
Records of what you have done and forward it to the National Secretariat at the same time.
Addressing journalists, the leader of APC in Makodi, loyal to the Austin Agada-led State Working Committee, describes the elective congresses by the other group as an act of anti-party.
The party guideline position is that we should affirm the ESCO that is in existence, the one that we legally elected and is in existence. So if anybody is doing another Congress, is doing anti-party.
Things took a frightening turn when the Speaker of the Benue State Assembly, Mr. Alfred Berger, assaulted Channels television correspondent for covering the parallel Congress.
We have agreed, we have inaugurated...
Still talking politics, National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Felix Morka, has applauded the National Assembly on being realistic in passing the newly amended Electoral Act of real-time electronic transmission of results. stating that the nation is currently not capable of achieving that level of connectivity. But the law can still be amended when the country is indeed capable. Meanwhile, the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Ini Obong, believes the newly amended Electoral Act of real-time electronic transmission of results contributed to the level of voter apathy in the just concluded FCT area council polls, as he expressed concerns over how this will translate in the 2027 elections.
The Senate and the House of Representatives, in passing the Electoral Act amendment, were being very pragmatic and very realistic, taking into account the state of address of communication technology in our country. But a day will come when our connectivity capability will improve drastically and then be able to have this amended. It's a law. It can be amended at any time. If by next year we meet that requirement, I'm sure the Parliament will do exactly what is needed.
Coming from the fact that this is the first election that is test running the new Electoral Act, it reinforces the thing we said about the voter apathy that will be concomitant with the new Electoral Act, which is clearly not what Nigerians wanted. There are many factors that we need to fix. If this is a foreshadowing of what 2027 would be, I can assure that already all the opposition parties are meeting and will soon come out with a joint position. Because, like I kept warning, election cannot just be a date on the calendar. Elections must reflect the will of the people. And when expressed, away from the apathy, the few people who went to vote, how do you expect them to come out to vote again in the next election when they clearly see that the result sheets that they had in their units, in Kuje, in Central, in Kabi Ward, are not a reflection of what happened?
In health news, we will reduce the incidence of Lassa fever to an appreciable level in the next 10 years. That's according to the Director General of the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, Dr. Jide Idris. Speaking on our breakfast show, The Morning Brief, Dr. Idris confirmed 318 cases of the virus, 70 persons dead, and even health workers infected, but then insists the NCDC is now working on a vaccine for the virus. The DG, in the meantime, urges states to set up emergency response centers to adequately tackle the disease.
Lassa fever is carried by these particular rats that are found in specific areas of this country. More time I made. But figures again are coming up again with the fact that some other types of rats have been infected. Right now, we have about 1,500 cases, suspected cases. We have about 318 confirmed. Unfortunately, about 70 deaths, bringing us a case fatality rate that is high, which is totally unacceptable. The alarming thing is the number of health workers involved now, which is slightly different from what happened last year. About 5 states contribute almost 90% of the cases, which is alarming. And that's why we sent advices to the states, especially with respect to healthcare workers. We've been in contact with commissioners of health over the state. And that's why, again, states have been encouraged again to establish or build up the capacity for emergency preparedness and response. We will reduce incidence of Lassa fever to an appreciable level in next 10 years. Why I say that is because developing a vaccine for Lassa fever takes a long time. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to reduce Lassa fever by 10 in the next 2-3 years. When I say that, I will reduce the incidence of Lassa fever in this country appreciably to an acceptable level. The death rate is low, is high. The plan is to get it lower up to less than 10, which we work assiduously at again.
When we come back after the break, primary healthcare centers in Oyo State get upgrades by the Oyo State government. Join us again. Welcome back. Nigeria's busiest aviation hub, the Murtala Mohammed International Airport and Terminal in Lagos, is set for a major operational shift as authorities continue rehabilitation works there. Managing Director of the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, Mrs. Olubumi Kuku, says a temporary terminal facility will become active in the month of March to support the transition and ensure continuity of service. Passengers traveling through the airport, though, are advised to plan accordingly and arrive much earlier than usual, as the operational shift and ongoing upgrades may require travelers to put in extra hours to complete check-ins, screening, and even boarding procedures.
4 airlines that would actually be making use of the temporary terminal, so Air France, KLM, Ethiopian, and I believe Middle Eastern Airlines. So the temporary terminal is now constructed. We're looking at moving people into that temporary terminal by March so that we can start using T2 for arrivals, because all arrivals will now come in through T2. We're also seeing a lot more departure. So I want to appeal to Nigerians that it's going to be a bit of a challenge or an inconvenience. Please put in some additional time when they're coming into the airport area. So make sure that you allow for the 3 hours, the recommended time for you to really get to the airport, go through the passenger processing so that you're not rushing, you're not rushing on the way out, either because of passenger processing or anything else that is happening within the airport area. Because yes, things have changed slightly. I do want to say that yes, the boarding bridges will not be in use during this period. We're going to be using remote stands and remote parking for our aircraft. So both from Terminal 2 as well as the temporary terminal, we will be busing our passengers like it's done in parts of Europe and Middle East and other airports as well.
In Oyo, the state government says it remains committed to achieving a prosperous state where residents have access to quality, affordable health care anywhere they live, no matter how remote. And to this end, Governor Seyi Makinde has embarked on an aggressive rehabilitation of primary health care centers across the state to ensure that the closest level of care to the people has all necessary basic facilities. Our correspondent, Bukola Orewo, reports.
Primary health care centers are the closest to the people, but for a long time, they have suffered some neglect with half-hearted policies bedeviled with even poorer implementation processes. The indices from this neglect have worsened maternal mortality ratios across the country, with Oyo State having an unfair share of it. Not happy with this, Governor Makinde gave marching orders to all involved to ensure that urgent measures are taken to salvage the situation, beginning with an aggressive upgrade of the primary health care centers.
So, okay, we've got the renovation work done, but we need to now upgrade them to make them fully functional. And part of the upgrade is to make sure they have energy, electricity supply 24/7. They should have water supply 24/7, and also they should be able to dispose of the waste. Apart from having a sustainable drug revolving fund, they have basic equipment that they would need to manage patients that come to the primary healthcare services.
More than 200 PHCs have been rehabilitated across the state. Each of 2 primary health care centers per local government area of the state now has uninterrupted running water from boreholes powered by solar-powered inverters.
All the activities of this facility and other facility where they have the Oyo State government and the First Aid Technical have actually installed this solar system. They can work without thinking of NEPA or thinking of buying diesel or generator for anything. So this is a massive intervention from the Oyo State government. This is the 4th month this has been serving this facility and all other facilities in all the local government that has been installed.
Testimonies abound from workers and residents on this new lease of life given the healthcare facilities.
We have good facility now, and the nurses, they are improving. Seriously, they are improving.
Before I came here, after I came here, there's no solar, no light, no anything. But now, we can probably, there is a solar, there is running water, renovation of toilets, equipment. There are so many equipment we didn't get before, but now we can have a lot of equipment in our labor room, even for the infants, for the ANC. They provide a lot of things for us that make us our work going smoothly.
With uninterrupted power supply complementing basic operations of these PHCs, more lives, including those with respiratory distress, can now be salvaged instead of traveling far distances to secondary healthcare centers.
I think the governor his intentions are being achieved, and I think this is going to be gradual. So this is the first phase. The first 66 PHCs is the first phase. I also know that the primary healthcare board has undertaken another 106. So in effect, within the next 1 year, we hope to cover more than 300 PHCs.
With the first phase of upgrades done, expectations have risen for more as people get used to a system that works, promoting livelihoods and increasing productivity as only a healthy population could. Bukola Uriowo, Channels Television News.
Welcome to Business News. Nigeria's capital market value has jumped by 125% to 123 trillion naira, and that's according to the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. The SEC says the sharp rise reflects renewed investor confidence, ongoing market reforms, and stronger participation from both domestic and foreign investors. The Commission notes that the growth in market capitalization is driven by price appreciation in blue-chip stocks, fresh listings, and sustained trading activity on the Nigerian exchange. It adds that regulatory reforms, improved transparency, and technology-driven initiatives continue to strengthen market integrity and efficiency. Finding the best talent for today's operational challenges in different sectors of the economy was at the fore at the 2026 Kavista Hackathon as it returns to Lagos. Now, the two-day event brought together undergraduate students from selected tertiary institutions in Lagos State and its environs.
For the fourth year and after months of preparation, Kavista Technologies Hackathon has brought together undergraduates from institutions in Lagos. The target is to identify and nurture Nigeria's next generation of technology talent. Participants collaborate in teams to develop innovative solutions to real-world challenges during a 24-hour hackathon. Undergraduates with technology skills and a passion for problem-solving applied and were shortlisted to form competing teams. The general manager of Kavista's Technologies, Oyebola Murakinyo, says that the 2026 edition is built on the success of previous editions.
Creation and global market access for our creative talent.
In her goodwill message recorded and shared, the Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy, Ms. Hannatu Musa Musawa, expresses confidence on the impact of the meeting.
This will impact industries and communities all over. To the participants, this is your moment to think boldly, innovate responsibly, and build solutions that reflect the resilience, ingenuity, and excellence that Nigeria is known for.
During a panel session, the youth receive even more tips on what to prioritize.
If you look at the likes of Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, they are actually solving the world's biggest problems. Mark Zuckerberg, for example, solved the problem of connecting with old friends, right? Old school friends. Bill Gates solved the problem of bringing personal computers to everyone. It wasn't there at that time. Elon Musk is bringing in electric cars and things that were problems before. They are solving them. So you want to look for the opportunities where you can lay your hands and work on big projects, because in 10 years from now, it's not because you are the most skilled.
At the end of the competition, there were 10 finalists. The third team went to Nibo Latutech. The second prize went to Team Madelon from Pan-African University. And the winner went to Team Bright Bros from Lassa.
And that's news at 5. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. The World Today is up next.